Ethan's hands trembled as he stared at the woman walking toward him, her confident heels echoing across the marble floor of the restaurant. For a second, his heart forgot how to beat. It wasn't just that she was beautiful or elegant beyond words. It was that he knew her smile. That same soft, dimpled smile he'd memorized 12 years ago, before she left without a goodbye. Now she was here, dressed like the world belonged to her, and the hostess said, "Your date has arrived, Mr. Carter." Ethan froze. His blind date was Olivia Bennett, his first love, and the billionaire no one ever thought he'd see again. If the story touched your heart, show your love, like, share, and comment your thoughts. Ethan Carter never thought love would cross his path again. Not after losing Emily, his wife, 5 years ago in a car accident that left him raising their little boy, Noah, alone. Life had become about routines, school runs, odd mechanic jobs, and late-night lullabies. His world was simple, small, but filled with quiet love. That night, however, his sister Lily had insisted he go on a blind date. "You deserve someone, Ethan," she had said. "Someone who makes you smile again." He had reluctantly agreed, not knowing that fate was about to play its strangest hand. He arrived early at the Azure table, a fine restaurant way above his usual comfort zone. The lighting was soft, the air smelled like money, and the waiters moved like dancers. Ethan straightened his thrift store jacket, hoping he didn't look completely out of place. He fiddled with his phone, checking messages from Noah's babysitter. "Don't worry, Daddy, I'll wait up for you." The little boy had texted earlier from Lily's phone. Ethan smiled faintly. He didn't know why he agreed to this date. Love was something he'd buried years ago. Then she walked in. Olivia Bennett, once Olivia Hayes, the girl who had been his everything in high school. They'd shared dreams under the oak tree by the river, planned their future, and promised forever. But one night, she vanished. No calls, no letters, nothing. Ethan had searched for her, only to learn months later that her family had moved abroad after her father's company went bankrupt. He thought she'd forgotten him. But here she was, standing before him like a memory wrapped in gold. "Ethan?" Her voice broke softly through his storm of disbelief. He stood up quickly, forcing a smile. "Olivia, wow, it's been a lifetime." She smiled faintly, her eyes glimmering with something between shock and guilt. "It really has." They sat down, awkward silence hovering for a moment. Ethan noticed the diamond bracelet on her wrist, the elegant simplicity of her black dress, and the calm authority in her tone when she spoke. She wasn't just successful, she was powerful. "I didn't know you were the one," she finally said, trying to ease the tension. "The agency only gave me a first name and a time." "Yeah." Ethan chuckled nervously. Guess fate's got a strange sense of humor. The waiter came, took their orders, and left them with flickering candlelight between them. Ethan could feel her studying him, the lines on his face, the tiredness in his eyes. "You look different," she said softly. "Life does that to people," he replied. "Especially single dads." Her eyes widened. "You're a father?" "Yeah," he said proudly. "Noah. He's 6. Smart kid. Keeps me going." Something in her expression shifted, admiration mixed with a quiet ache. "That's beautiful," she whispered. "You always wanted a family." He nodded, smiling faintly. "Yeah, though not quite how I imagined it." For a while they talked about life, work, the years that passed like ghosts. Olivia told him about her company, Bennett Enterprises, how she built it from nothing after her father died. Ethan listened, genuinely proud, though deep down, a small part of him wondered. Why had she never come back? Finally, curiosity won. "Olivia, can I ask? Why did you leave back then?" Without a word, her gaze fell to the table. She hesitated, as if the truth had been waiting years to be spoken. "My father lost everything," she said quietly. "We had debts, lawsuits, and he got sick. We moved overseas overnight. I wanted to tell you, but my mother, she forbade it. She said I had to focus on survival, on building a new life. I thought you'd hate me for leaving. Ethan's chest tightened. For years he'd carried anger, heartbreak, thinking she had simply walked away. Now, hearing this, the pieces fell painfully into place. I never hated you, he said softly. I just missed you. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she blinked them away quickly. I missed you too, Ethan. Every single day. The night deepened around them, filled with laughter and nostalgia. They remembered the old oak tree, the summer carnivals, and how he used to fix her old bike just to spend time together. For a few moments, it felt like nothing had changed. Two souls who once promised forever, finding a brief moment of peace in the chaos of adulthood. Then her driver appeared at the door, reminding her of her next meeting. Reality slipped back between them. She stood, hesitating. It was really good to see you again. Ethan nodded, hiding the ache in his heart. Yeah, you too. But just as she turned to leave, her eyes caught something. A small, folded drawing peeking from his wallet as he pulled out cash to pay. She reached for it gently. Is this? She asked, her voice trembling. It was a faded crayon drawing. A stick figure family. A man, a woman, and a boy holding hands under a tree. On the bottom corner, in a child's handwriting, it said, Me, Daddy, and Mommy in heaven. Olivia's breath hitched. Ethan, your wife. He nodded slowly. She passed 5 years ago. Noah made that for me last week. She stared at the paper, tears glistening in her eyes. Then, without thinking, she whispered, Can I meet him? Ethan looked up, surprised. You want to meet Noah? She nodded. Please. I'd love to. The next afternoon, Olivia arrived at their small home. Nothing fancy, just a cozy apartment filled with warmth. Noah, shy at first, peeked from behind the couch. But within minutes, her laughter filled the room as he showed her his toy cars and his art gallery of stick figures. Ethan stood quietly, watching, a billionaire woman sitting cross-legged on his old carpet, listening to a little boy like he was the most important person in the world. Later, as she was leaving, Olivia turned to Ethan and said softly, You once fixed my broken bike. Maybe now, I can fix something for you. He smiled. You don't owe me anything, Olivia. She shook her head. Maybe I owe myself a chance to make up for what I lost. Weeks passed. Olivia began visiting often, sometimes with dinner, sometimes with gifts for Noah, but mostly with time. Slowly, gently, their friendship rekindled. Not out of guilt or nostalgia, but out of something purer. A quiet realization that love, even after years of silence, can find its way home. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Ethan stood outside watching Noah chase butterflies while Olivia laughed beside him. She turned to him, eyes soft, and said, You know, I used to believe I had everything. The cars, the mansions, the boardrooms. But I was wrong. Ethan looked at her curiously. What changed your mind? She smiled through glistening tears. Because tonight, for the first time in years, I finally feel rich again. And in that golden moment, as Noah ran into their arms, Ethan realized something too. Sometimes, love doesn't come back the way we expect. Sometimes, it returns quietly, wearing a familiar smile, asking for a second chance. And this time, he wasn't going to let it go.